All right, guys, and we are back for our final segment of tonight, previewing. And now it's going to be a little bit reactionary. Of course, I do write down these show notes before this game uh, even got underway. But what I wrote down in my notes: the Bruins Panthers, 7 p.m. Eastern time, going to Boston. This series, it's at a 1-1 series before this game. Both teams shared blowout wins in the first. In the first little bit of home ice segment, with a highlighted 136 penalty minutes in the third period. In that game too, these teams clearly don't like each other, and you're really seeing that when it comes to this series. So a little bit of my thoughts on the series. I thought that the Bruins played amazing in that game one, and I thought, whoa, this team is going to do it. This team is going to go very far in these playoffs and make a fool out of me. Because, I think I gave the Panthers in 5 was my prediction for this series. So a little bit of a hint going into my prediction for this game. I said the Panthers 4-2. Sticking with my series prediction, them needing to win every game from here on out. I don't think that they do that, but they do win this game tonight 6-2. And the Panthers look very, very good, very, very strong hockey team so far in the last two playoff runs. Of course, they're making the Stanley Cup final last year, losing to the Vegas Golden Knights in heartbreaking fashion last year. They do have a great run, go from a 3-1 series deficit to the Boston Bruins. They, play the Hurricanes, sweep them, and they just have a great run going all the way to the Cup final, and then they get blown out, or not blown out. They their torch gets put out by the Vegas Golden Knights, who finally got over that hump in the playoffs and got their Stanley Cup after being a great team for the first few years of their history. But talking about this Panthers, and a little bit of breaking news here: the Vancouver Canucks score power play goal to open up game 2 here in Edmonton. I'm keeping you guys a little bit up to date live right now. And Edmonton is now going on the power play with their 47.6% on the power play in the regular season here. But the Canucks currently a 1-0 lead with an Elias Pettersson goal. That is his first of the playoffs. Woo. We'll talk about that because that is actually in my notes that Elias Pettersson needs to get going in these playoffs. I kept saying it, but we're talking about the Panthers Bruins right now. 6-2 final here in Game 3. You got production out of Matthew Tkachuk, 2 assists tonight, and you got production out of Alexander Barkov. Don't know why I blanked on his name. Make sure I got that one right. Game production out of those two guys is going to spell great success for the Florida Panthers, and you saw it. 2 power play goals. Those are what the 2 providers from Tkachuk and Barkov came on, and getting it done on the power play is going to be very important for them. They started 4-0 in this game. Ended, the Boston tried to come back a little bit in the third period, scoring 2, and then you have the Panthers kind of shutting the door on them, getting, I believe, an empty net goal, and then a power play goal to end the game to win 6-2 here. My prediction was 4-2. They win 6-2. I'm counting that as a win. I'm still flawless when it comes to predictions on this podcast. It's been a little bit simple here in these playoffs. I think you could kind of I have been able to, and I think you have been able to kind of predict what's happening throughout these playoffs. The Rangers are amazing. A little bit of shock in the Stars Vegas Golden Knights series, I guess, in that first round. But when it comes to this Panthers and Bruins series, the Panthers have been a step ahead of the Bruins this entire season long. Besides when they match up against each other, the Bruins took all 8 points in those 4 matchups. So that's why people kind of had a lot more respect when it comes to the Boston Bruins here in this series. But the Panthers look really good. That's a 4+ goal win, or a 4-goal win. They won by 5 in Game 2. That's really deflating for the Boston Bruins. This one especially being at TD Garden in Boston. That might spell death when it comes to this series for the Bruins. They're going to need a big bounce back when it comes to Game 4. I think that they're going to be able to do it, but I think that the Florida Panthers are really going to ride this high, and I think that they put themselves in a great position to take this series. So yeah, the Florida Panthers are doing amazing in these playoffs. Can they match up against the New York Rangers? I just talked for 15 minutes about how great the New York Rangers are. Can the Florida Panthers match up with them? Well, this team is good. This Florida Panthers team, the top 6, is really good, and they're getting production out of their defense. I've talked about it. Defensemen really coming in big when it comes to the playoffs. But when it comes to... Oh, and the Oilers just scored. Is that a power play goal? Oh, of course it is. It's another power play goal for the Edmonton Oilers. I think that brings them up to 50% on the power play. Man, that is amazing. Man, that power play has been lights out. That's a Leon Draisaitl goal from Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. That's really been the difference in their postseason so far. They're getting that production out of that power play line that a lot of teams haven't been really getting when it comes to their top power play line. You know, I talked about it with the Colorado Avalanche in their game too, them not being able to get it. But right now, the Oilers Canucks 1-1. And I was going to get right into previewing their series. And my number one point when it came to the Canucks Oilers was... Let's see if the Edmonton Oilers power play can continue. They were 47.6%. Now it's up to 50%. So, first thing in my notes is something that just came to fruition right here in real time is the Edmonton Oilers scoring a power play goal. My biggest key for the Vancouver Canucks coming into this series: don't give up power plays. Just stay out of the box. Your penalty kill is not gonna be able to compete with this Oilers power play. And it's proved again, they're not able to compete with this Oilers power play. So the Oilers are looking to steal home ice in this game. The Vancouver Canucks take a 1-0 series lead. Now you have the Edmonton Oilers and the Canucks tied at 1 apiece in this game. If the Edmonton Oilers were able to break through and beat them on home ice, they do take that home ice advantage. And I think that will be huge. The Edmonton Oilers have been amazing in the last few years via, of course, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. This is McDavid's 13th assist in these playoffs. He is the playoff point leader. And what more can you say about him? He has 14 points now through the Edmonton Oilers playoff run. He only has 1 goal, but he doesn't need to get the goals. He's been turning provider for Leon Draisaitl, for Zach Hyman, for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and this Edmonton Oilers team looks scary, and this Edmonton Oilers team looks really good. Of course, Zach Hyman at 9 goals. Man, what more can you talk about Zach Hyman leading all forwards in goals in the playoffs? You think that the regular season was a fluke? Clearly it wasn't. He's found his home here in Edmonton. He's going to look for a lot of money now from this little run that he's on. Oilers, of course, looking to steal home ice. Overall thoughts on this series, the Edmonton Oilers offensive production needs to step it up if they want to beat the Vancouver Canucks, because the Vancouver Canucks can just outpace you. They are one of those teams that are very young, very great, very forward heavy, and you have Quinn Hughes, who is one of the best two-way guys in this entire league. Of course, the defenseman Quinn Hughes, he is amazing both ends of the ice. He's a very huge weapon, kind of similar to that Cale Makar in Colorado. The West is getting very exciting. You have the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars in a very, very exciting matchup, the Central Division foes in that matchup. And then you have the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks as the Pacific matchup. For the Edmonton Oilers, their power play just needs to keep clicking if they want to win this series. And that leads me into my prediction. 5-4 Oilers in overtime is what I had predicted, is what I had written down before these games even started. I'd like to remind you. So 5-4 Oilers in overtime. We'll see if that turns out to be. But with that being said, that will conclude our Friday show. We will be back on Monday with the GSMC Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Thank you guys for tuning in. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to this show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and you guys have a wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.